And welcome to Bulls Digest post game. We are talking about the Chicago Bulls beating the Detroit Pistons today, 122 to 112, as they get a huge bounce back win after a tough game against the Houston Rockets. And so, lots to talk about in today's game, starting with just who really showed up and showed out today. And so, let's start with Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine absolutely had it on a heater in the fourth quarter. At one point, he had a 12-0 run himself. He hit a ton of three-point shots in the fourth. And I mean, he was just on fire today in the fourth. And so I've got to give Zach Lavine his credit and Vooch as well. Vooch played well. And so we're going to talk about all that here on the post game. So let's go ahead and bring up the box scores and take a look and just look at these numbers. And so starting with Zach Lavine, the 25 points, the 5 assists, the 6 rebounds, the 1 steal. He had the 1 turnover, but plus 22. And I just liked the way that Zach Lavine paced himself tonight. It wasn't always going well for him, but he always continued to make the correct basketball play for the Chicago Bulls. And I talked about this in the pregame. I just like how Zach Lavine and Vooch have just gone out there and they played in an all-star level, but it hasn't been outside of the team concept. I've never felt that they're just going out there and they're just trying to up their trade value, which is the talk around both of those players. In fact, I don't even think that they're even thinking about that. And I've said before, I think that there is just maybe a situation where AK doesn't move on from either of those players, but that's another story. But anyhow, getting back to this game, I just think that Zach Lavine did a terrific job. Like I said, pacing himself, and I like how he worked his game inside out. There was a couple dunks that he had in this game, his ability to get to the rim, and I just think that if he continues to play at this level, if he does want to get traded, I could see a team is going to definitely want to come and get him, regardless of what the contract looks like, because Zach Lavine has shown that he can play off of others, he can play off the ball, and he just showed today that he can turn it on in the fourth quarter like he did today. So I think that that was a spectacular performance from Zach Lavine. I mean, he just had it going in the fourth. And then with Vooch, look, Vooch, 29 points, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks. He was plus 24 today. And what I loved about Vooch, and this is something that Stacey King talked about throughout the broadcasts, is that Vooch continues to recognize mismatches. And so as he's recognizing that the smaller player is on him, he is doing a terrific job in just yelling, screaming, just letting guys know that, hey, I am down here on the box and it's a mouse in the house. And so I like that aggressiveness that we are seeing from Vooch. And another thing that was talked about throughout the broadcast is that I guess Casey Johnson had talked to Vooch and he said that, look, he has a renewed energy going into this season. He really wanted to prove himself after a down year, and he felt like that this offense gives him an opportunity to showcase his skill set. And I thought that that was interesting because you really don't hear Vooch, kind of say, hey, it was more or less just a fluke season. I've got a lot left in the tank, but this is the type of confidence that you love to hear from Vooch. So hearing that about Vooch, I definitely feel like he is certainly locked in for this season. I think he is going to have some more nights like this. And just like Lavine, if he wants to be moved, I could see teams calling right now just based off how they have played. Tonight was a great game on tape for both of those players. And so I liked how Vooch took advantage of going inside. And he also knocked down a ton of three-point shots. And let me give Vooch some credit, too, on the defensive end, because there was a rotation that he made that pretty much it symbolized a lot of what the Chicago Bulls need to do as a team defensively. I think there was a play where somebody was driving in on Giddey. Vooch slides over, makes it tough. They get the miss, and they end up getting a big shot on the other end. Stacey King was talking about that is the type of rotations that the Chicago Bulls teams need to make. And I think that Vooch has made those rotations. Yes, he's ended up on a couple posters. Yes, it hasn't gone well for him sometimes, but I like the fact that he is making the correct basketball plays like Zach Lavine tonight. So very good for them. Kobe White, look, 25 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds. He did have a -3 tonight, but I think that he was pretty efficient as far as shooting the basketball. I did not feel like he was just going into the lane and kind of over penetrating, looking for the big play, the home run play. I talked about that in the pregame today. I think it was a little bit more of a flow to Kobe White. I think that is where Kobe White is just he takes off when he's more in a flow. I think when he gets into situations where he's trying to force things and try to make a whole bunch of stuff happen, I think that's where he really gets in trouble. So Kobe White, I think he slowed down today, had some great pace. I think he did his thing today. With Josh Giddey, look, 11 points. He had 8 rebounds. He had 10 assists. He was plus 13 in the box score. So he flirted with a triple double tonight. Didn't shoot the 3 ball as well tonight, but I think that he was a little bit more in the flow. And I think defensively, I just talked about how Vooch was able to slide in, help him out there. I think that there was probably a little bit more of an assertive effort on the defensive end as a team. So I think that certainly helped him out. But look, flirted with a triple double, and that's generally what Josh Giddey's just going to have to do, string together some good games. And I think most important, plus 13. That's huge. And so next up for Ayo Dosunmu, 9 points, 1 assist, 1 rebound, 4 of 12 tonight. He was plus 6, but I just love the defensive energy that Ayo brings out there. Much like Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, they're to the point now where it's just when they get in the game, regardless of what we see on the stat sheet, you can just feel their presence out there. And I felt that with Ayo immediately when he got in the game. I think his first basket was off a nice cut. And so I loved everything that Ayo brought. I felt like that energy was needed. And that's something that we needed to have after a tough game against the Rockets. And same for Jalen Smith. He had 8 points. I know he finishes with, a negative 14 in the box score, but I loved his 3-point shooting. He was on fire there. And I just liked his energy as well. The 8 points, the 5 rebounds, 2 assists, the 1 steal. I think that he played big at times. Modest Buzelis, only 2 minutes tonight. Minus 9 on the floor, 1 rebound. I would have still liked to see some more minutes from him. Talk about that on the post-game video. But with Dalen Terry, I love Dalen Terry. I loved what he did tonight. Look, you see 2 points, you see 1 rebound, you see minus 10. I think that when he got into that dust-up with Isaiah Stewart, I think that was the tempo setter for the team. I love that about Dalen Terry, and that's what you need in order to go out there and start to become a team where people take you serious. You need somebody like Dalen Terry mixing it up with centers and stuff like that. And this is twice that I've seen this. I mean, I saw this in the Utah game against John Collins. We see it against Isaiah Stewart. And I love that. And I love that Dalen Terry is with all the smoke there. Julian Phillips, I think that he also brought that it factor tonight. He's plus 7, 5 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. And you can tell that jump shot, he's getting more and more confident about what he's doing out there. So a lot of great stuff from the Chicago Bulls. And take nothing away from this Detroit Pistons team. They are a very good team. And I think that Cade Cunningham, in my personal opinion, I think he's ready to take another step this year. So I was very impressed with what I saw with him. And so just in the team box score, just some of the key takeaways tonight is that the Pistons out-rebounded the Chicago Bulls 48-46 today. So not bad. We're right there. I talked about how good of a rebounding team and a rim protection team that the Detroit Pistons are in the pregame. And then as far as the turnovers are concerned, in this box score, it has the turnovers down to 10-9 for the Chicago Bulls with 10 and then 9 for the Pistons. If you go to ESPN.com, I think it's 11-9. So whichever one, either way, it's a lot better than what it was against the Rockets. And then as far as the points in the paint, once again, we got destroyed there, 51-36 Pistons points in the paint. They take care of business there. But then when you look at the efficiency tonight, I think that was really huge for the Chicago Bulls. Look, 28 assists. We had the 44 makes. We shot 48.4%. And more importantly, 50% from downtown. And that was really on, I think, Zach Lavine. Zach Lavine was just absolutely on a heater in the fourth quarter. And that was spectacular to watch. And so, look, with all the narratives and everything going on around Zach Lavine, I mean, it's just quite simple for me. just put some respect on his name, him and Vooch, because they played incredible. They were the stories of the night, and I love this was a good quality win here. So let me know in the comments what you were thinking, about this win, what you guys felt. I'm just going into the comments right now. It says that Patrick needs to get up on his man beyond the 3-point line. He doesn't offer enough resistance around the perimeter. He needs to pick his man up like Scotty did Magic going back in the day. So that's a good point. You know what I mean? I like that. And, for the most part, I liked what Patrick Williams did defensively. And I feel where you're coming from there. And I think it's a process with Patrick Williams. And so, even tonight, one of the key takeaways that I didn't talk about with Patrick Williams is he's actually missed 10 dunks on the season. So I don't know what it is with Patrick Williams, but, he could have had double figures tonight. He missed a dunk. He's got to slow down. But there were some good defensive efforts out there. And, I do think that when you're talking about resistance around the perimeter, that's why we love Ayo Dosunmu. And that's why I've talked about Ayo just being that defender, that he can be a guy that can go from 1 to 5. And that's what I love about Ayo Dosunmu. And I think that that's why he's essentially, if he continues to get better offensively, I think he's going to play his way into the floor. And so, a great comment there. But just trying to check the chat, guys, before I get ready to hop onto this video. I wanted to make sure that I get into the chat. I didn't get into the chat yesterday against the Rockets, but I think that is a good point, valid point about Patrick Williams. And so, for the most part, I think that when we talk about defense for Patrick Williams, I've liked it for the most part this year. And so hopefully he's not injured. I mean, I think that that's the key for him. I talked about this foot injury that he had going into this game, and that came out of nowhere. And so hopefully that's not something that is going to affect him moving forward this season. But anyway, the Chicago Bulls, they bounced back against the Detroit Pistons tonight. And once again, like I said, the Pistons, this is a very good team. Especially with what we saw with, Jalen Duren. Like, man, he was tough in there. I think at one point he had like 21 rebounds or something like that. And like I said, he's one of my favorite bigs out there. And so you get a chance to kind of see what he can do. Jaden Ivey, I like him a lot too. But once again, I was very impressed with Cade Cunningham, because Cade, he single-handedly almost got the Detroit Pistons the W tonight. And so a good win tonight for the Chicago Bulls. But anyhow, I just want to thank everybody out there for tuning in on the post games. I'm going to try to make sure that we get some more post games out there. And then I'm also going to drop it in the community tab if you guys want to see a little bit more of the live pre-games. Maybe we'll start to do that going into the games as well. So let me know what you're thinking. So I appreciate you. I think it's Montez King. I appreciate you. I see you in the comments too on the video, so I definitely appreciate the comment today and the view. But anyhow, I will see you guys on the next one. Getting ready to do a video about this one. And go Bulls. We'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.